Welcome to the Snap UK podcast, your home for NFL news, views and opinions from this side of the pond. Check us out online at thesnappodcast.com and join in with the debates and random nonsense at
the Snap UK.
Yeah. I'm not going to start learning it at this end of the season. Christmas
It's our
has been and
fucking
gone,
name!
and the new year approaches at speed. Week 16 was a hectic one with all the byes complete, a full 16-game schedule for the festive period. No Paul tonight as the bubonic plague runs rife through his household. But the finest four of the pod crew are gathered here in my humble home to deliver our verdict on the week that was. Later in the pod, we'll nail our colours to the mast and guarantee who wins the divisions remaining and who makes the final wildcard spots. But before all that, to the games. In the interest of simplicity, I'm going to start with last Thursday's matchup between the Jets and the Jags, where one team took a huge leap forward and one sunk like a stone. Jags 19, Jets 3, an impressive night from Lawrence, who continues to blossom, and a rough night for Zach Wilson, who craters in New York, and seemingly whose career may be over.
I need to make an apology, because last week I said Zach Wilson wasn't that bad last week. I obviously jinxed him, and he was shit.
Absolutely terrible. Did you all see the picture I sent round where ESPN had displayed his numbers next to Jamarcus Russell's first 22 starts?
Until I see the weight comparison, they're very similar.
I mean, it was poor. Especially, we're talking, when did Jamarcus Russell play? 15 years ago? Mm-hmm. In an era where passing wasn't so easy. He had numbers virtually identical through the first 22 games. I think he had fewer interceptions and marginally fewer yards. But that is, no one wants to be compared to renowned draft bust Jamarcus Russell.
Are the Jets literally a half-decent quarterback and Breece Hall away from being a decent, more than decent team?
Yeah, I think they are.
If they had 25 of any 25 of the quarterbacks in the league out of the 32, they would be nailed on in the playoffs.
Yeah, because you forget they've been decent since Breece Hall has been out, but he was really, really good until he got injured, wasn't he?
Oh, absolutely.
They've been fine without Breece Hall. They can still move the ball, because when Breece Hall got injured, Mike White came in, and suddenly their wide receivers were getting the ball. They could make catches, and then a couple of weeks ago, I can't remember which team it was, but they decided they were going to kill Mike White. I like Mike White, but that was proper to borrow part of my take parlance. It was proper football guy stuff. He came back. He paid through the pain. It was, he
went to hospital and
hospitals, cost himself more game time because he played through. And you're like, oh mate, last season, I think me and Jim both said, stick with Salah, get him more players. I think there's a team there. That's been proven right. The decision to take Zach Wilson seemed crazy at the time. It's only got worse.
I don't think it was crazy at the time. He had a good record, and he did look like he was a talented quarterback. But
someone renowned for picking on young quarterbacks said it was a bad decision at the time.
Well, yeah, you said it was a bad decision.
He hadn't played many games. And so, you look at... I know, we'll get on to Brock Purdy. Purdy played 4 years at college. Yeah. Zach Wilson played 1 year in a Disney high school film and has come out into the pros and is playing...
BYU's not that bad at a college program. Look, we say this every year, 50% of first-round draft picks are normally busts or average at best. And it just so happens Zach Wilson falls into that category. I think the fortunes of the Jets rises and falls depending on whether Zach Wilson's playing or not.
Yeah.
And just for that, it has to go. I'd be an advocate of giving a player 3 years before you're making a judgment call on him, but you can't do that with Zach Wilson because he's just so bad. There's been no advancement of his skills from last year to this year. You think about how much shit I gave Jalen Hurts last year. Completely different quarterback this year. He improved
Justin Fields. Justin Fields is the one.
Yeah, improved his passing game. Justin Fields has got better. Zach Wilson's not shown any improvement at all.
Or in in performance or character.
Yeah.
It feels a little bit the end of like Dwayne Haskins at the...
Yes, very much so.
No,
it's over in New York for Zach Wilson.
Yes.
It's over because Mike White is a better quarterback. So even if they don't get anyone else, you can't tell the team, well, we're going to keep playing Zach Wilson when you know you can win more games with Mike White.
And if the team is happier with Mike White, you've got to take that into account as well.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
Because, you want them to re-sign, the good ones to re-sign contracts. There's a lot of rookies, there's a lot of young players there. You want to keep them long term. If you're trying out Zach Wilson every week, it's like, well, what's the fucking point?
I mean, there's not much in the free market, GBG.
Well, there might be someone else.
But there's trade that looks like a couple of people are coming to the ends of their careers at certain teams. It feels...
He won't be the starting quarterback for the Jets or probably anyone next season.
No. He's got...
What did I say to you when he first got drafted? It will be Sam Darnold 2.0, and what is it going to be? Sam Darnold 2.0.
Darnold's come back though, hasn't he?
Yeah, now he's had plenty of experience and things, so it could happen. He'll go and sit on someone's practice squad probably. That's fine, but it was never going to work. You just drafted another Sam Darnold. That wasn't going to work. They're too young. They're too underutilized at college. Then they come in and they're too raw to play for a bad franchise like the Jets. That is it. That is the framework you've got. You look at the shift that's happened at the Jags. They went down one direction, quickly discovered it was shocking, then brought in Pedersen, who couldn't be more different from Urban Meyer, who'd got all the experience, and he's turned Trevor Lawrence into borderline sort of top 15 quarterback in the league right now.
And ETN's been back.
Yeah, they've got their pieces.
He runs for a good solid 100 yards a game, doesn't he? Most games. He doesn't do anything spectacular, but he does churn yards,
They had James Robinson who's doing that last year as well. Like, they are just, I think... But the difference is, they are... Trevor Lawrence is playing... Like, if MVP was based on the performances after November, Trevor Lawrence is in the MVP race, unfortunately.
Well, he's now currently, and we'll get to this later, but outplaying Tua, who was, up until 4 weeks ago, was my pick for MVP, and now has had a terrible stretch.
Now it's just purely between, Hurts and Mahomes, isn't it?
It looks like it.
Yeah, but he is also seeing, probably 21 less players on a football pitch than Tua is as well. So
props to Evan Ingram. Had another brilliant game, 7 receptions, 113 yards. Second half of the season, he has really stepped up. We know Pedersen likes tight ends from when he was at the Eagles. This is what Evan Ingram should have been at the Giants. Should have been this weapon, and it's nice to see him being used properly. It's not a snap at the Giants. I'm just saying,
we know
when a player moves and suddenly turns into what you thought he should be, this is a good thing. But what we now need is him not to go full Ebron and disappear again next year.
It was never talent with Ingram. I mean, he a little bit, but then he never got a stretch of games with the Giants. You get 4 or 5 games, you start to think, oh, there's a player here, and then you get injured again.
Yeah,
he's had a full season, basically where he's been pretty indestructible, playing as a wide receiver in a quite exciting team. Effectively, he's really brilliant. It's a shame. We'd kill for him. Back
absolutely.
This year.
You really would. We should mention before we move on, Wilson was benched in this game for Chris Streveler, the CFL former standout who's kicked around in the preseason in the NFL for years now, who actually wasn't much better. But Joe Flacco wasn't dressed for the game, and Mike White was still recovering, but he is now back. Mike White has been cleared. I don't think you'll see Zach Wilson even on the sideline for the last couple of games of the season. It won't. I
think it's best for him if he just disappears for a little bit.
Is that a threat?
Yeah. Zach Wilson sleeps with the fishes.
Right, moving on. With Sunday
being... He sleeps with old women. That's what he does, isn't it?
Christmas Day. Saturday was where it all took place this week with 10 games. We can follow on from the Jags, which took them to 7-8 with their win by visiting Tennessee alongside the Texans and finding ourselves a little Christmas miracle. Houston 19, Titans 14. Just a second win of the year from the Texans, and that means the Titans are now on a 5-game losing streak without their number one quarterback and have slipped behind the Jags in the division.
I don't think it is a Christmas miracle when you consider how banged up the Titans are now.
Yeah, they are.
There you go, ruining my little attempt to bring in Christmas to the podcast, you fucking dick.
Yeah, well, Christmas is done now, so leave it alone. It's in the past.
How's that going in your family?
Look,
I'm sick of the Titans losing streak being rammed down our throat. And sorry, personal joke there. The Titans are, they are the most injured team in the NFL, but they also were that last year. The difference is it's Tannehill been affected, and they traded away AJ Brown.
Yeah.
Fucking idiots.
Because their best player is still their best player. 23 attempts, 126 yards and a touchdown for Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
But when your second best player is your quarterback, which Tannehill is, and he's missing, Malik Willis, 14 of 23 for 99 yards and 2 picks. He's done nothing in his 3 games now.
I mean, he looked all right in pre-season, but this is your opportunity, and as other quarterbacks have shown, like when you get that opportunity, you have to take it. Malik Willis isn't doing that at all.
Tannehill's out for the
rest of the regular season.
Yeah, Malik Willis so far in 3 starts has 276 passing yards and 3 interceptions.
Yeah,
and that's it.
Yes.
That's his total stats. I believe he's been sacked 7 times in that as well. So.
Derrick Henry can't do it all on his own.
No, exactly.
No running back
and the Titans' defense is still doing reasonably okay, but again, they're on the field too much, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think last week I still had the Titans down to sneak over the Jags, but
no, the Jags
don't
will
see
take
that
this
now.
The Titans got Dallas next week, and then they've also got the game against the Jags, which
the Jags will beat this Titans team.
Yeah.
Oh,
absolutely,
God,
no doubt.
100%. Yeah.
Josh Allen against Malik Willis in fucking hell. He's going to absolutely feast.
The way the Jags are playing at the moment as well. I don't think they need to score many points against the Titans to beat them, but I'd bet on them getting over 20.
I mean, is Lovie Smith doing enough to get another year? Because they've had 4
enough. Two.
They've had 4 decent performances against brilliant teams.
A lot of their performances have been
Chiefs,
okay, actually.
Cowboys.
I think they've got to just question who else. It's that same old question, isn't it? Who are you going to get? Because if you look, out there, you got
the same question I had last year.
Who wants to get that job at the moment? Who actually wants that job?
Josh McCown.
But at the moment, you've got Dan Quinn. Yeah, Peyton's going to be back, but you've still got the Colts. You've got the Broncos. You've got someone else already.
Possibly the Raiders, possibly the Saints.
Panthers.
There's a lot. We said all along there's going to be more than you normally see of one-and-done coaches. I still think Lovie Smith could be on his way out, but he was already part of what was going on in Texas, so he has at least something in the back room. Like, they're going to have liked this appointment. The problem the Texans have got is they should have stuck with David Culley.
And if Clinkernuts goes as well, you could easily have 6-7 coaching jobs at the end of this year.
That's very true.
That is a lot.
I was trying to look through the Texans stats to find who leapt out, who performed well in this game for them. I can't find anyone. Their top 3 receivers.
Brandon Cooks got a touchdown, didn't he?
Brandon Cooks got the touchdown. 4 receptions for 34 yards is not what Brandon Cooks should be doing. The top 3 receivers were Philip Dorsett, Jordan Akins, and Amari Rogers.
But this is telling us is how bad the Titans are.
Exactly. But those receivers, none of them had 50 yards.
No, it was a bad game.
Well, look,
the
Texans
just won a bad game.
Yeah,
that was all.
They didn't need to do much. They were getting the ball in their own field anyway, because the Titans could not keep hold of the ball.
Realistically, you can't take anything in this game, and B, we should just move on because we've hit all the high
It does feel like too long. It was more to bring to the fore where the Jags are in terms of relation to the playoffs. Okay, so the Texans win and move to 2-12-1, clinging to the number 1 pick by the narrowest of margins now. The closest contenders being the Bears, who lose 35-13 to the Bills, despite leading 10-6 at the half. This game was wind affected, but the Bills handled it brilliantly, especially in the second half, and their running game stepped up for possibly the first time all season. Bills clinched the AFC East for the 3rd year in a row, and they are returning to form at the right time of the year.
Well, everyone else in the AFC East is plummeting.
Or I think you'll find that's how the next section is going to start.
But well done to the Bills for keeping their head because even their slump.
Yeah.
We've just been about the Titans. We'll go on to the Dolphins. Like, these are teams slumping and they're losing. The Bills had a slump and kept winning. They just didn't look very good. Now,
Allen was injured.
Yeah,
the elbow injury.
And that is what was wrong. Because
he
wasn't
threw 2
as
picks
dynamic
in this game. He's not been returned to full fitness yet.
Yeah.
But the point here was Devin Singletary, 106 yards. James Cook's 99 yards.
Well, it wasn't on many runs, was it?
No, they had 23 attempts at rushing between them. They each had a touchdown.
200 yards.
He has lost Stephon Diggs at the moment. He doesn't seem to be able to find him at the moment, which is...
Yeah, 2 receptions for 26. But podcast favourite of at least one person, Gabe Davis, 3 receptions, 45 yards and a touchdown. Dawson Knox also cashing in.
Dawson Knox has been good the last few weeks.
He has. He is another one who's returning to form. But the Bills made this look easy, despite the fact they were completely outplayed in the first half. And this is the only knock I can make on Justin Fields this season, is he looks so much better, so improved, deadly, can't win a game. Cannot get his team across the line. I'm not saying it is, but that you can't grade his step up until you see him win 1 or 2 more games. They've got 3 wins.
So much of it's down to the defense as well.
Yeah.
Look at Brady's record and how many top 10 defenses has he played with? Every year of his career. And we focus so much on the quarterback, but there's a reason why there's 53 people on the roster. It's not. Quite often, you only get to have a game-winning drive because the defense has made a stop or they've turned the ball over. If that doesn't happen, you never get the opportunity, do you? But it always becomes about the quarterback because it's easier.
Always is, yeah. I mean, look at who he's throwing it to. Not being funny, but the top receiver for the Bears was Velus Jones Jr.
I'm a big fan of his.
Yeah, 2 receptions, 52 yards. I don't even know who that is. Byron Pringle, Cole Kmet, Dave Montgomery, and Dante Pettis. They're the next ones up. And this team, that's not good enough. The offensive line's bad as well.
It's Chris's fantasy team, isn't it?
Yeah, more or less.
I think he makes a bad team look better than they are.
Yeah.
At 3-11.
Yeah, 3-12.
3-12.
They're now half the game ahead of the
He's
Texans.
got 24 combined touchdowns, 16 passing, 8 rushing. He's been excellent, and
he's fine. But look, quarterback's probably the hardest position to find in the league. So they've now got draft picks because they've traded away most of their players, and they got some high draft.
Imagine if they'd kept Quinn and the other defensive players, Roquan Smith, that they got rid of. This team would actually be decent.
I don't think Roquan Smith wanted to be there. So
conversely, imagine if Justin Fields was playing on the Jets.
Yeah, but look how quickly the Eagles have come back.
Yeah.
Well, that's where I was going to go with that. They would be the Eagles.
Yeah,
Justin Fields was playing on the Jets. They would be the AFC.
In 2 years' time, they could, not be the Eagles, but certainly I think they'll be more competitive.
Yeah.
The Packers are on a downward spiral, as we know. The Vikings, we just don't know. They've got a great offense, but are they going to be able to afford to keep all those players for the years to come? So I think it'll be interesting, that division coming in the next couple of years, because Rodgers will retire.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It won't go as long as Brady. No way.
No.
Build the lines. That's what it. That's we mentioned the Eagles. That's what. They were built. They came back. The lines are still the same. The defensive line is still Fletcher Cox. It's still the offensive line. It's still Kelsey, Lane Johnson, all these players.
Build the trenches.
Build the trenches. Look at the Lions. The offensive line and defensive line are decent. You can make a lot by building. They've got some money. Don't go and pay. Golladay money for players, but
good example. But no, you're right. They can go out and they can sign some decent free agents that are going to fit within that system, going to fit within playing with Justin Fields, and this team will get better if they make those right calls. But it's not on the quarterback.
So, anyone who want to tell me the last time the Bills won 3 AFC East titles in a row?
We gave them
was it
90s?
Yeah.
Go on.
The Super Bowl
92,
years.
93, 94,
Keep going.
95, 96.
88, 89, 90, 91. Miami actually won the division in the middle of those Super Bowl runs. That is a hell of a long time, over 30 years.
Yeah, but 20 of those has been dominated by the Patriots.
I'm not saying it's not, but that's not just down to the Patriots. That's down to the other teams being terrible.
No, and the Bills, up until they changed their front office and they brought in Josh Allen. Before that, they were one of those clusterfucks.
And the league isn't set up for franchises to win
No,
it's not the idea, is it?
True.
I know that it does happen, but that's only because there's some really poorly run franchises. When you get competitive divisions, it doesn't happen, does it? The NFC South, goes from the Panthers to the Saints to the Falcons.
Yeah.
Like even at the NFC West, the Seahawks to the Rams to the Niners.
Yeah.
It isn't supposed to be like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Parity is key, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Well, let's talk about another team that could be winning their second division title in a row. But first, a team who could have made progress in the AFC East if they'd just kept their shit together and weren't coached by an octogenarian with an ego the size of Battersea Power Station. The Patriots, who got buried in the first half of their game with the Bengals before the defence showed up to lead a fight back that came up short late in the day. Final score, Cincy 22, New England 18, but this should have been a blowout.
Firstly,
Bengals took their foot off the gas.
Can we refer to that niche Battersea Power Station?
I like a nice niche reference, I do.
that was it.
It's a big place. John's taken me there. It's massive.
It's
very
a
impressive
big place. It's not the first thing I would have thought of.
No, I was just trying to think of big places I'd been this year, and that would
Well,
be
I like Big Bill Belichick Battersea. There's a nice alliteration there.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
And
goes.
it's somewhere very powerful.
Yeah.
It is. What
Bill
used to be
Belichick's very powerful.
a former a house of power.
Yeah.
That's now
Now decrepit.
Now a shopping centre.
and
now a shopping
aging
centre.
and crumbling from within.
but has been rebuilt and is now beautiful, and that's what Bill Belichick needs. He needs regeneration. I imagine
Retirement.
in the coaching department, basically.
I mean, Emperor Palpatine came back a few times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, can we mention that you were a Mondre Stevenson fumble away from winning this?
But we shouldn't have been. The point is the Bengals took
But
their
you
foot off
were.
the gas.
Let's not deal in shoulds and coulds. You were.
Well,
You
we
were a Stevenson fumble away. I mean, and
I don't know what you're hoping for as Patriot fans.
the Bengals
Like,
are
they
really
what
fucking
they-
good.
Yeah, but the
And-
Patriots are what they are, aren't they? They're an averaging team. Like we said, either they're going to finish just behind the Jets or just ahead of the Jets. Like, they haven't got I don't think they've got a really clear direction at the moment. That would be my frustration.
And that's what I said to you the week before. Stop playing Mac Jones. Let's have Bailey Zapata for the final few games. Change things up. Get the coaching staff in place. Bill O'Brien's supposed to be coming back. As well.
It's down, isn't it? That's the
think
direction.
Belichick only cares about making the playoffs. Yeah. So I don't think Belichick is looking at a 3-4 year strategy. I think he is just trying to make the playoffs this year.
He's not going to do
that's
that.
it. And I think next year he will just try and make the playoffs.
I agree.
Next year.
Of
So
course.
I don't think
But
there is any
this is
strategy.
where the disconnect is now, is that Bill is just coaching year to year because he's old, and the team now needs a 5-year plan to get back to being at least competitive all the time.
You mentioned that rumour about Bill O'Brien coming back. And
Yeah.
I know it's kind of everyone thinks of that with a bit of scorn and disdain, given his.
He's a good offensive coordinator.
given his history at Texans, but he was always a good coach.
Yeah.
He was a good coach
Shit
at
GM.
Texans.
He
He's a
GM'd
shit
himself
GM.
out of a job.
Yeah,
he did.
exactly.
Yeah,
if
yeah.
he goes into New England and is the offensive coordinator alongside Belichick, who's basically running the defense, and Matt Patricia
Although
moves back into defense, that's now a good coaching team
Yes,
again.
it is.
He might suggest that every weekly meeting that you should just swap all your best players for some magic beans.
Which is where Belichick just needs to say, all right, Bill, just get back in that box and stick to
Yeah.
what you're meant to be doing.
Yeah.
Because
I think you'll find I'll fuck up drafting the receivers, mate.
But, suddenly, not through change of players this time, but through change of coaching and schemes, suddenly the Patriots could become very good again.
Agreed.
On the other side, we mentioned Lael Collins is injured.
Yeah.
And that's when suddenly the Bengals got shit this game.
It
And
does
remember-
not help them because they
Yeah.
needed a line last
They
year.
needed a line last year and didn't really get one. They got Lael Collins, who's came in, he's protecting Joey. and
Burrow.
I forgot his name. I forgot his surname, so I just said Joey. Fine. Okay. But yeah, they're
Joey
protecting
B.
Joey B. I had Joey Ice in my head. I don't know why.
Who's he?
I don't know. But yeah.
Just making it up now.
Yeah. But I'm going to stick with it. But yeah, he couldn't protect him in the second half. And, that worries me if this is a big injury. I don't know. I only saw that he was injured. I didn't see what the injury was. But if it's a big one.
He does have injury history as well, which is
Yeah.
why the Cowboys were not going to keep him.
Remember in the playoffs when he got sacked 9 times and, luckily he could just lob it to Jamar Chase enough times for them to win.
It Chase is not having the same season as last season by any stretch, is he? He's like
Always
he's
seems
still
that.
decent,
Still
decent,
yeah.
but like the connection doesn't seem quite as good, and he's drawing so much more double coverage
I think
these
that's,
days.
I think that's
Well,
it.
look at T. Higgins. He's getting more
that's
free.
giving T. Higgins more opportunity. He had 8 receptions, 128 yards, and a touchdown off of 9 targets. Like he's only missed 1. But also other players are coming into Trenton Irwin has just come out of nowhere and seems to be a popular target for Joe Burrow as well.
Mixon isn't having the same year as well, is he?
Mixon's having a tough
It was
year
going to be
this
a
year.
big ask for everyone to have the same, because teams now know what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Lael Collins has avoided structural damage in the knee.
Okay.
May even play this week. Certainly will be fit for the playoffs. That is
if
a
you can rest him
great
for the
release.
playoffs, you're fine.
The problem the Bengals have got, they've got a tough running. They've got Buffalo next week, and then they've got Baltimore the week after.
The AFC's tough
Yeah.
at the moment.
That Baltimore game is key because
Yeah.
Baltimore are only a game back in second. Now, we'll play our favourite game again. Anyone want to tell me the last time Cincinnati won the division title 2 years in a row?
We go 83 and 84.
No. John?
Oh God. Never.
They have done it.
I'm going to go 78, 79.
No, you split. You went either side. It was 80 and 81.
Oh.
So, I mean,
was
a
close.
pretty damn long time ago to not win back-to-back division titles. That is,
But they had Andy Dalton for a long time.
yeah, they made the playoffs a lot, but it was always as a wild card, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So,
And they're always 1 and out.
And as well, like in the last 20 years, it has been Ravens and Steelers who are pretty decent.
good
Well,
franchises.
Two decent, well-run
John,
franchises.
thank you for setting that up. Right behind the Bengals in the AFC North are the Ravens, who beat the Ridder-ridden Falcons 17-9. Another matchup determined by the run game, as the backup quarterbacks on display hardly threatened to seize their opportunities in this one either. The Falcons' once promising season has dwindled to 5-9.
It was not promising. It was only promising because that division is fucking shit.
That's fine.
So it's not promising, is it? They might have limped into the playoffs based on
Maybe.
a shit division.
But anyway, the Ravens are finding some form at the right time of the year. They are 1 game back from the Bengals. They've
Is it
stopped the
form?
slide. They're winning with
Yeah.
Huntley.
Is it?
I think it's terrible. Like,
Oh, it's appalling, but what they have
They're
is
winning.
one
They're winning
side,
without Lamar.
one side of the football is elite.
yeah,
Their
definitely.
defense is incredible.
that's true.
Definitely. But they are awful to watch.
Sorry,
like,
you
they
look at their last 5-6 games. The teams they've beaten: the Falcons, Steelers, Broncos, Panthers, Saints. Bucks.
if you put them up against any of the
Yeah, they've
contenders,
lost
and
to
I know,
Jaguars and
I know,
Browns.
Griff, you've probably still got a good 22
No,
contenders.
not now.
No.
Too late in the year for that.
Okay, 18 contenders.
No, I will
Raiders-
point out
Raiders still can
the
make the
Raiders
playoffs.
contenders comment last year was made in week 13. We are now in week 16 this
And
year.
we're still
the
talking
next
about it.
season.
We're still talking about it.
No, but I just meant it was earlier in the season last year, so they were still technically in
But
contention.
I don't
Wow.
think the way they are playing, they can score enough points to beat a lot of teams in the playoffs. I don't see
But
a
Johnny,
deep run at the
Can I-
moment.
well, Johnny's right because they're not conceding points. In the last few games, they conceded 9.
But against shit teams.
Yeah, but they still
Can only play what's in front of you, and at least one of those shit teams will be in the playoffs. The Bucks will probably be in.
Right, the last 5 games they conceded 9, 13, 14, 9, and then the Jaguars is the biggest one, 27.
And how many of those teams are in the playoffs? So the Jags might be, and they just put 27 points past them.
Yeah,
Fair.
that's true. But with Lamar coming back, I don't think you can rule them out. You wouldn't
I'm
be
not saying,
surprised.
but at the moment, I wouldn't say they're like flying back into form and they're suddenly playing amazing. I just don't.
fair,
not.
even
They've
when
learned. Like at the start of the year, they were losing games and they were playing much better.
Yes.
Now they're winning games, but playing much worse.
Yeah, that's a
At the
fair
start
point.
of the
yeah.
season, they lost like 3 games, having trailed for like 42 seconds or something ridiculous. And now they've won 5 games despite playing terribly.
Jim, you seen anything out of Desmond Ridder makes you think that he's going to be a quarterback to start next season?
nothing at all.
No, I just don't get it. That's a real shame because I thought he
liked
was going
him
to be
at
decent.
Cincinnati as well.
Yeah.
He was at college. He played well. Again, he had decent enough experience. He was a good quarterback, but I just don't see it.
It is
happening.
weird, isn't it? How quarterbacks more than probably
like
some
hit and
positions
miss,
like
isn't
Brady, 6th round pick, Brock Purdy, 7th round pick. You know, it just Dak Prescott, 4th round pick.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem to.
I think you've
I
got.
don't know if it's pressure. Like
I just don't think they know how to cope with adversity. If they've always been a winner, they've always been elite.
I think there's 2 things. One is I think as a GM, you've got to be looking to what Bill Parcells used to look for your quarterback. A quarterback has to, and to John's point, quarterback should be playing for 3 years and they should be winning games. That's a minimum, right? The other one is like they're thrown in at the deep end in season 1 now.
Yeah.
Like back in the day, they'd have 2-3 seasons on the bench behind an established quarterback.
Yeah, look at Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, exactly.
Steve
Aaron Rodgers.
Young.
Even Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes had that year behind Alex Smith. You know, they're not given time to learn. And realistically, Desmond Ridder is learning from Marcus Mariota.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I mean, fair enough.
Come on.
I will just say, though, when the Falcons beat the 49ers, which I think was the 49ers' last loss, the 49ers' offense was really exciting to watch that game. They confused the 49ers' defense to such an extent that they didn't touch Marcus Mariota that game, unless he was running. It was brilliant to watch. And then since that game, they're going, oh no, I can't believe Marcus Mariota is being really bad as a pocket passer. You're like, duh.
The thing over the last couple of games when Ridder's has started is that they're actually doing the right thing. You're having a look, seeing if the quarterback you've picked up is any good.
Yeah.
You're not getting into the playoffs with Mariota. You might have won one of the last 2 games. I think last week we said if he'd have been playing, they'd have won because they couldn't shut down the running game. But they're not interested in winning. They're interested in seeing if they've got the right talent. And the answer is they probably don't. So they're doing the right thing. Okay, so Atlanta's loss means that they were leapfrogged in the NFC South table by Carolina. The Panthers beating the Lions 37-23 with a massive showing from Foreman and Hubbard on a day when the Lions' running game faltered completely and they couldn't stop the opposing run. Jared Goff led the Lions' run game with 15 yards. Carolina scored 37 for the first time in 3 years, week 10 in 2019. And they are surely doing enough to allow Steve Wilkes to a shot at keeping this job.
Yeah.
I said
he'll
to Jim,
definitely keep the job.
I said to Jim before they got here, if he gets into the playoffs, is he in contention for Coach of the Year? They had 1 win when he got there.
No.
I don't. I mean, he won't win it, but he should surely get some recognition for what he's done with this team. He's made Sam Darnold a viable quarterback. Darnold's playing okay. Like, this is the best stretch Darnold's had in years.
It's a little bit like Southgate for the England job. He's come in what was effectively a horrible culture, and he's sort of made it seem like it's a fun place to be now.
Yeah.
And you suddenly at half time we got back from the pub, and you're suddenly looking at rushing records because you're like, what do you mean they've done 230 yards in the first half? Like,
They had
there's no
320
expectation,
rushing
is
yards
there?
total.
There's no expectation on the Panthers at the moment, I don't think, or Darnold.
Be.
And I think that's given them some freedom, So, like I say, they've got a chance because it's a terrible division, isn't it? Like, what are they, 2 games back?
No, not even that.
Only 1.
I don't think they're that. I think
Yeah, they're one game
one
back.
game back.
One game back
One
on the
game
Bucks.
back.
And they play each other the last week.
last week, but if they win, the Panthers go through because I think they'd have both games over the Bucks.
Yeah, the
that week.
tie break. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that would be hilarious.
If they win
it's
out,
next week.
Is it next week?
Next
If
week.
they win out, the Panthers are in, and they can. And the Bucks don't look that
I
scary.
would much rather watch the Panthers in the playoffs than the Bucks.
I mean, the way the Bucks are playing, I mean, the Panthers don't have to win out. They just have to win this weekend because the Bucks are appalling.
Yeah, no, you can't, say much more on that.
I mean, yeah. But no, and the Panthers' defense is still good.
Still good. They've got a lot of good players on that defense. Now they've got a good coach defending it. Coaching it well. They're playing. There's a lot of high draft picks on that defense.
Darnold's quarterback rating over his 4 starts for the Panthers this season is 104.31.
Decent.
His previous highest quarterback rating was in his 2nd season at the Jets, 84.3. Like, he actually now looks like he's learned something. He'll have a bad game because he always is going to throw in a bad game
against the Bucks.
But
He was very young when he came in the league.
and this is my point with Zach Wilson.
Was he 19
He was
when
20.
came in the
He was
league?
20.
20.
Yeah.
And it's the same with Zach Wilson. They're not ready, and you
So
ruin
he's
them.
now the same age that like Baker was when he actually came
Yeah,
into the
yeah,
league
yeah,
or whatever.
Still only 25.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. He's
25.
got years ahead of him. Tannehill disappeared and came back, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It can definitely be done, and maybe there's still some faith to be shown there.
Well, look at Gino. He can disappear for
11
7 years.
Yeah.
Come back and, admittedly,
I saw. We'll get to Gino obviously
Yeah.
today, but I saw a nice thing. I said to John the other day. Somebody said to him, it must have been a real struggle over the 10 years that you've been, just kicked around the league. And he was like, "My struggle is most people's dream. This is awesome." So Like, fair play. Like, the guy knows where he's at in life, and he's made a fortune doing something he loves doing. We should just mention the Lions. That Week 18 showdown with Green Bay is starting to look quite juicy. They're both at 7 and 8. Somebody's got to be getting that last wildcard spot in the NFC. Oh, man. Green Bay are going to fucking nick it, aren't they?
Yeah. Said it last week. You can just see it happening, can't you? That smug
I
little
feel for
bastard.
Jared Goff. I haven't got his stats up in front of me right now, but he played his lights out in this game. He was brilliant.
Brilliant. Yeah,
He's been so good.
25 for 42, 355 yards, 3 touchdowns.
I'm telling you, Jared Goff is starting for the Lions next year, and they can fill all the other roster holes.
He's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
At home this week against the Bears.
He's never been.
He's great in a bowl.
He's never been the difference, has he? Like
No.
Goff. But yeah, he wasn't quite good enough to win a Super Bowl. But he got there, didn't he? Like
Jimmy
so
G.
many decent players have never got to a
Super
Bowl. So he can never have been that bad.
Yeah.
No.
No, and in the Super Bowl,
for the Rams, did they?
in the Super Bowl, he just got billed.
Yeah.
Like that's what happens. Sometimes.
Yeah, it's not like they got blown out, did they?
Better players than him have had shit. Like Peyton Manning had a shittier Super Bowl than Jared Goff.
That's true.
Yeah. And Jared Goff is fine. He for some reason, you look at his stats, he's better in a bowl because probably all quarterbacks are.
Yeah.
This week, they're at home. They've got the Bears. I mean,
they've
got to win that. I mean, unfortunately, if you've had a really bad game against the rush, the person you don't want to see on the other side of the pitch is Justin Fields.
No, it doesn't help.
But what will happen is they'll be good for 3 quarters and then they'll tire because that's what happens to the Bears.
Speaking of the NFC North, their divisional champs, the Vikings, won another close contest, this time over the Giants, 27-24, a Greg Joseph 61-yard field goal at the death, preserving the Vikings' record this season in one-score games. No shame in defeat for the Giants, but the question surrounding the Daniel Jones situation isn't going to go away anytime soon after he actually excelled here and seems to be making a case to stay.
Is the case more that the Vikings' defense is really, really bad?
I don't think it's really bad. I don't think it's very good.
It's bad.
Yeah,
it's
average
bad.
at best.
Average at best.
I mean, they are being bailed out by
A ridiculous offense.
Justin Jefferson.
Effectively. You look at all their big comebacks, it all involves
And Dalvin as well.
No, but like Dalvin Cook is brilliant.
It's mostly Kirk.
So the Cowboys game, it was a improbable Justin Jefferson
No one's
catch.
even mentioned Kirk Cousins in the race for MVP, by the way.
Neither should they. If you just keep that to yourself, that'd be great.
But yeah,
I'd rather see you win MVP.
Well, Jefferson has to catch the ball from someone, doesn't he?
If Kirk Cousins won it over Justin Jefferson, there'd be a riot for days. Justin Jefferson probably should be getting a mention. He's about to break the all-time receiving record and become the first wide receiver with 2,000 yards. Admittedly, in an extra game, but still.
Will he get a? Because they're going to announce is it the top 5 this year for the MVP? Like normally they just announce the MVP is Tom Brady. Now this year I think they're going to say the top 3 or top 5. So you may get Justin Jefferson getting a mention in the MVP race.
This is going to be one of those years where the MVP is, like you say, Hurts or Mahomes, and the offensive player of the year is Justin Jefferson.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's not going to be the same player.
It's just ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. But yeah, I think you might finally get some mention on the day because they are announcing like the top 3 or 5.
Kirk Cousins is in the top 10 in the betting. Just saying.
Wow, that's high.
He's still talking about it. I can't believe it.
I'm surprised he's in the top 10.
I mean,
Zach Wilson's only 150 to 1. That's ridiculous.
You should put your money on that.
Great.
That's the same as Justin Jefferson.
Is anyone here concerned that the Vikings don't blow teams out?
Yes.
I think not in the regular season, but the chances are, as it currently stands, you might be playing us in week 1 in the playoffs. That's fine. You come up against the Cowboys, the Eagles. That's pretty much it in the NFC. But you come up against
the Niners.
The Niners, yeah.
I thought you were deliberately not mentioning the Niners.
But no, but they have the Cowboys and the Eagles have offenses that can just obliterate teams. I think the Niners have a defense that will probably stop the offense being able to just do what they do. And either way, I don't see them getting to the exciting part of the playoffs. I don't see them winning. It's a shame because they've been really, really good. And I think we all sort of secretly quite like the Vikings.
I'd like to see the Vikings in the championship game just because I think that will make it a great game.
I agree.
I think if you got like Eagles,
you see the Niners beating them.
no, I think it may well be Eagles Vikings.
I think it could. I'm
wouldn't
with
be
Gary.
surprised at all.
I think they've got more of a chance in the playoffs than you think,
And I
just
think it
because
could be
they know how to win these close games.
A 35-28 game or something. It'd be a cracking game.
I wouldn't put it past them. I think to me, against a good team, like they've played the Cowboys already and got obliterated.
They got absolutely destroyed.
Yeah. They did.
I think
that's and I agree with you, John. I think that's the recipe for their playoff hopes, is that if they come up against a team that can score points, legitimately can score points.
It's the playoffs, though.
They haven't got a defense that can cope with that.
It's the playoffs. You might find they have like a Bengals type run, where suddenly like Justin Jefferson is untouchable, Dalvin Cook is amazing, Kirk Cousins is error free.
They'll have home field advantage for quite a bit of the playoffs.
Yeah, they should do. They should do.
But I
think like sometimes we've probably questioned the Vikings quite a lot this year, but they've got the second best record in the NFC.
Yeah.
So
I haven't questioned them.
Well, no, but
I picked them for this.
You know my point is that actually they've shown it over the season, haven't they? So not that many teams
they know how to win these
have
games.
managed to, and you're talking about a team that's won every one-score game they've been in this year. That sounds perfect for the playoffs, doesn't it?
It's an amazing record. Right, the best news on the day for the Giants, though, John, was Commandos 20, 49ers 37, a benching for Heineke, and the return of Carson Wentz, which, frankly, didn't make any sense or difference. The 49ers, that's 3-3 as starts for Purdy, joining only... Who?
Patrick Mahomes?
No. First 3 games, 2 touchdowns in each of his first 3 games with wins. Kurt Warner, thank you very much. And the playoff buzz is building around the team as Shanahan's offense is rumbling along. The race for the second seed in the NFC is truly on between the Niners and the Vikings. Let's see. I think that the Niners may take this. I really do.
Niners got Vegas on Sunday, and then Arizona.
Yeah.
Win.
They could have
you
2
win
wins.
out.
The Vikings are at Green Bay, at Chicago.
They've got
Both those teams could win
We're
out.
1 game back, aren't we, at the moment?
Yeah.
So it'll be close.
I think the Niners win out and take the second seed, which with your third quarterback of the season is remarkable as an achievement.
It's incredible.
And this is why all the times when Gary has said Shanahan's not getting it done, this is why I couldn't agree with him. There are other coaches that maybe that is the case, but what he's able to do with quarterbacks and running backs when everyone else is injured is incredible. No one else does this.
Yeah.
What about the Cowboys? Can't they get number? Because
they could, but
I mean, because as well they have also beaten the Vikings.
True.
And they have a quite easy run in.
They do.
They've got the Titans and the Commanders.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 2 wins. And as well, it'd be really fun to watch Michael Parsons against Carson Wentz. I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, that's the stuff dreams are made of.
I think it'll be difficult
with Diggs
though.
in the background.
I think it'll be difficult just because they'd have to overtake both teams.
Yeah, I still think the Niners are nailed on.
Because the Niners have got a 5-0 divisional record at the moment as well. We could sweep the division, which is quite rare.
It is incredibly rare.
Only us and the Chiefs can still do it this year.
I don't know why Ron feels the need to go back to Carson Wentz.
I don't get it.
Because I know Heineke hasn't been great, but they've been winning games. They've been putting up points.
I think you stand a chance of Heineke. I don't think you stand a chance.
But the team doesn't like Carson Wentz. That's the point.
I think we've seen the best of Heineke and 2 defences in a row now. The Giants the week before, the 49ers this week. Admittedly, one of those is a league-leading defence. The Giants is a good defence that's got 2 or 3 good playmakers.
They showed up Heineke's problems.
And they've both exposed Heineke as a very limited quarterback who was playing above who's playing to his potential. I think, I don't agree with Carson Wentz being better, but he is possibly...
He has more talent. No one's saying Carson Wentz doesn't have more talent, but the team doesn't like him. They've made it very clear.
I think it's a strange one because the Commandos have got their draw, they've still got a decent chance of sneaking into the playoffs.
Yes, they do.
And surely you just want to keep consistency at this point in the
season. Who are they
season.
playing in the next 2 games?
Cleveland and Dallas, both home games.
Cleveland could be a win.
Yeah.
Cleveland could be a win, but is it a win just because Carson Wentz is playing?
That one win may well be enough with the draw.
According to 538.com, they've got a 29% chance of making the playoffs.
Yeah, but What do they know?
It's tight.
It's. To be fair, at the start of the season as well, Wentz seemed to have a nice connection with Juan Dotson, who has come back and is really brilliant.
But he doesn't have any chemistry with Scary Terry. They were terrible together.
Yeah.
Whereas Heineke and Scary Terry has worked. And this is the problem the Commandos have got. I don't think they know who their quarterback can be. I'm just surprised that this late in the season, when you're this close to making the playoffs, they've made a change that no one really thinks is going to make any difference.
Can we also appreciate the fact that John Lynch managed to get Christian McCaffrey for some magic beans? Because
you don't have a draft next year, do you?
We've got Christian McCaffrey.
It's fine. We've got a pretty decent team.
I know he's going to be injured.
Gary's now cursed it. Yeah, have you ordered your shirt yet?
Because didn't you trade away your first for Trey Lance?
Yeah.
And you've traded away your second, third, fourth, and fifth for Christian McCaffrey. So you have a very free April.
Yeah.
Taking the time off,
which is fine. But let's not say it's not.
Trey Lance will be there for 15 years.
It isn't exactly
as a backup.
It isn't magic beans, is it? It's your draft capital and £14 million next year.
Yeah.
It's.
I still think it's proved to be.
It's been brilliant
acquisition.
Absolutely.
And if everyone had known McCaffrey was going to, touch wood, stay, healthy or be managed so well, so many more teams would have paid more for Christian McCaffrey.
And yet he was not, for at least the fourth time since he's been there, he was not your lead rusher. Your lead rusher was Ray McLeod.
Only on a trick play.
Yeah, on a trick, 71-yard rush on one carry.
He's a great returner as well.
He is.
And he's got a great name when he gets it. Come on, Ray.
Well, can I just say, at the start of the season, I said that this was Christian McCaffrey's comeback year because it was about time that the Panthers were not going to use him like Derrick Henry. And it turns out the Panthers then tried to use him like Derrick Henry, but traded him to the 49ers, who then didn't use him, who knew how to use him, who know how to treat players.
What is nice is that both, two of probably, the top 10 running backs in fantasy were players who were like, I'm not going to draft him because injuries. Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
Josh Jacobs as well.
And Jacobs to an extent as well. And they've
all been excellent and
have all
injury-free.
Been and stayed fit. For me,
look at what it's done for the teams they've been on.
Exactly. And also, it's good fun to watch. I like watching these players. I like watching Saquon Barkley have an amazing run.
How's your Jonathan Taylor pick, guys?
Yeah, exactly. It's nice when good players are on the field.
Yeah.
That's been
good.
Very nicely into the break. One-time leaders of the NFC West, the Seahawks, continued their recent losing form. That's 5-6, as they lost 24-10 against the Chiefs. Travis Kelce continued his ascendancy to be the best tight end of the last 5 years at least, and the Chiefs cantered towards the AFC West title, surely. I know we'll get on to the Chargers in a little while, but no one's going to stop them now, are they?
No.
Super Bowl favourites yet for anyone?
Who? What?
The Chiefs.
No,
just because I think the AFC playoffs are going to be very challenging.
It's going to be nuts.
I couldn't pick the AFC champion at the moment. It's too tight.
Yeah, no, I don't think I could.
But the NFC is actually getting better, isn't it? Because there's at least 4 contenders now, I'd say, in the NFC. A few weeks ago, you probably would have said 2, or maybe just the 1.
I think that's a little unfair. I think the top 3 have always been there. And actually, I think the Cowboys have actually got worse over the last 4 weeks. I think 4 weeks ago, I had this funny feeling that they could topple the Eagles, and actually I thought they were better than the Vikings. Now I think on their day, they can beat anyone, but
it has to be their day.
It has to be their day, really. And even on their day, it has to be perfect.
I think, there are a few teams we've commented on this year who we've said they've played badly, they've won games. I don't think the Dallas Cowboys can do that. They have to play well to win games. They can't play badly and win games. I think the Eagles can do that.
Well, yeah, the
Cowboys have done it. And the Chiefs can do
it.
And I think this is one of those examples of the Chiefs doing it. I don't think they played particularly well on Sunday against the Seahawks.
Mahomes is on some crazy record as well. He needs to average 361 yards a game now, doesn't he, to beat Manning's record, I think.
I honestly hadn't seen
all-time passing record in the season, passing yards in the season.
And they've got Denver and Vegas, so that's achievable, I'd say, based on Denver's
those
result.
two defenses. Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
It could be. It's a shame for half the people anyway, at least listen to this, that the Seahawks have gone quite so cold. But I mean, honestly, they've maxed out way beyond what most people thought they'd achieve.
You still look at that as a successful season, given where they started. I think
it's not bad when you regress to a really successful season for you.
Yeah,
no, that's the case, and they have found a star this season in Kenneth Walker.
Yep.
107 yards on 26 carries. He has been consistently their best player since he came in week 3 as the starting quarterback, running back. Sorry, and I don't know what they do at quarterback next season. I wouldn't be surprised if they stick with Geno. I think they will.
Why would you move away from Geno? He's been fine.
Yeah, he's been fine. But I don't think he's ever going to be the reason you win. He's just not the reason you lose. And that's fine. That's fine. I wouldn't be, jumping around saying he's their biggest problem, because he isn't. So
they've got a high draft pick going into the draft. There are a few decent quarterbacks, but there's also some really good defensive players coming out of college this year. They could bolster that defense, and then with a good running back and a quarterback who doesn't turn the ball over that much, they're in with a chance.
Yeah, well, it's same as a lot of other teams. If you can bolster the lines, I think eventually you can then look to replace Geno. For next year, I don't think you move on, because it's as well. Next year they'll have Tyler Lockett back again. Just some more weapons would be nice as well. Like the rookie offensive lineman went down, didn't he? This game, Cross, and that doesn't help. Geno needs to be perfect every game for this team to really sort of
Tyler Lockett is the big miss.
Yeah,
because Tyler Lockett gets through a lot of work, and now teams can focus on DK Metcalf. He's still doing a good job, but he'll probably still get to 100 yards most games, but that won't be enough without Tyler Lockett also getting to 80 yards, and that's the difference, because now Geno doesn't have as many solid options around him, and that means it puts a lot on the run game, but against a dynamic team like the Chiefs, they're always going to struggle, and I think they'll struggle for the rest of the season now, Seahawks. Yeah. Because I think they've got enough to bring in.
The defense is good, but it's not great.
It's not great. You can add
bits to it.
I think you make it much better.
Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf are up there with the best 1-2 wide receivers in the league. They're both wide receiver ones, really.
Yeah.
In our little break at half time there, we were discussing things that would make us feel very old. Someone in this game caught their first reception of the season. It was Laquan Treadwell. Anyone remember when he was drafted?
Where?
When he was drafted. I can tell you where he was drafted. He was a 23rd overall pick in the first round of
the Vikings, was it?
No. Yeah. 2017?
No, I'll go a bit earlier.
Yeah.
2016.
Yeah.
He's been around forever. This guy's just a return man, basically, who's been picked up. I had forgotten.
First round pick that just went shit.
Yeah, well, but we're going to get to another guy a little bit later on who's been around forever and is still catching passes. But that one was the one that stood out to me. Just thought I'd give him a little shout because it doesn't get any love. Right, which was the best game of the Saturday games, you ask?
Which was the best game of the Saturday games?
Well, John, that would be the Eagles 34, Cowboys 40. Dallas are still 2 games back on Philadelphia, but this was a statement win, keeping up and surpassing the high-scoring Eagles, making a lesser-seen defensive stand at the death and foiling Minshew mania and cementing themselves as a real post-season contender. Let's be honest, Mick McCarthy's done a really good job with a decent team, admittedly.
I'm not sure if you're a Dallas fan, you're obviously happy your team's winning, but are you happy you're going to keep him for next year?
I don't know.
Also, sorry, we forgot to say, bastard.
I don't see any reason to criticise what he's done. They've had 1 or 2 bad games, but find me 3 or 4 teams that haven't.
Jalen Hurts wins this game.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts wins this game. I agree. Jalen Hurts wasn't playing.
One, because he'd have taken more time off the clock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's fair.
That's basically the reason why. Because Minshew can't run.
Yeah.
No,
At all.
It's one of those odd situations where the backup is nothing like the starter, and that rarely leads to success because the team is only built to win one way.
Yeah.
But
Great for the wide receivers.
in all fairness, Gardner Minshew played fine.
He can throw the ball. He can throw the ball. It's just, the team's not set for it, are they?
No, they couldn't run the ball either. I mean, their Pro Bowl running back Miles Sanders had a pretty shitty.
Let it go.
Unbelievable, Jeff. Unbelievable.
Sorry, we've not mentioned it the whole podcast, but yeah. But anyway, he couldn't run the ball that well. They didn't get much from anything else, and like you say, Jalen Hurts wasn't there to run the ball either.
No, but Smith and Brown both had 100-yard games, and so did CeeDee Lamb for the Cowboys. This was a passing feast on Christmas. I would imagine there's no way the Cowboys don't make the postseason.
Oh, 100.
They're in.
They're more or less.
Are they already in? Was this nailed on for them this weekend? I couldn't keep up with
they
that.
are. Sorry, they are. They're
They
definitely
guaranteed at least a wild card
Yes,
spot.
Yeah, they've got 10 wins, haven't they?
I think
Or 11. 11.
If I was a Cowboys fan, I would be disappointed with the fact that they gave up 34 points to Gardner Minshew.
That's a tricky one. You haven't seen him this season. He has got two of the best wide receivers. Gary just mentioned a team with two number ones on it. Well, here's another one because they have. And Gardner Minshew is the best or in the top three best backup quarterbacks in the league. He is.
Oh, he could go to the Jets and do a job.
Exactly what I was just about to say. If the Jets were starting Gardner Minshew, they'd have won a lot more games.
Yeah. I think for the Cowboys, it worries you that Gardner Minshew's come in and got 355 yards.
Yeah, that's
But
what
this
I
is
mean.
why I say the Cowboys haven't been making defensive stands, but right at the end, when they needed it, they pinned the Eagles back on 4th and 75 or whatever it was, and they got it done.
I think some of those big defensive lads were just thinking about Turkey.
And now we know what Gary would be doing if he was out there.
Thinking about Turkey.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a great game. No punts.
No punts. No.
No, and
Played in the Christmas spirit. Let's just have a fucking party.
and it's fine. It's what a game like that should be. Yeah, I think for the Eagles, like Lane Johnson got injured, he'll be back before the playoffs. No Jalen Hurts, no run game. They still got shitload of yards and points.
Yeah.
The Cowboys did the same. I think
The network would have been absolutely delighted. This was predicted to be one of the most watched games ever.
Yep.
Prime time.
It's a ratings win.
Yeah, they would have absolutely loved it. So for those people out there that thinks it's all fixed and entertainment, that's one for you.
I love that anyone thinks that. Okay. Let's round out the Saturday slate with, unfortunately, one of the more putrid games of the day. Saints 17, Browns 10. Cleveland failing to trouble the scorers in 3 of the 4 quarters, and the quarterbacks combining for a total of 227 passing yards and 2 interceptions between them. Both teams leave this game with a 6 and 9 record, and I just can't find anything in this game to be even a little bit excited about.
Kamara played well.
Okay.
it was.
And now we can move on.
I mean,
the Taysom Hill game, wasn't it?
it was Taysom Hill was the only good thing about this game.
How hot is the seat of Kevin Stefanski right now?
I don't think it is, because I think the ownership will look and say, well, you've had a quarterback change in the middle of the season, blah, 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 blah. I don't think it is hot.
I think it's artificially cool, though. Like, it really should be hot. Like, they've had 2 bad seasons now, and I know that the behind-the-scenes things has to take precedent on a lot of that.
I'm not sure the ownership
they're
can take the moral high ground this
Yeah.
summer.
Yeah. But effectively, the back office is also wasting a lot of talent.
On the defensive side of the ball, they're just asking too much.
Well, they still
of
brought
the
in Amari
defence.
Cooper this summer, and and then
His numbers actually aren't that bad.
yeah,
Amari Cooper.
because he's fucking brilliant. If the guy they brought in to throw the ball to him hadn't have been a sex offender, he could have had a great season. But no, they brought in a alleged sex offender,
If you've got Nick Chubb as your running back,
and they have really struggled to use him the last few weeks.
Yes, they
I'm
have.
sorry, you're at 3rd and 2.
Yeah,
Why are you throwing the ball?
Why are you throwing the ball?
There's been some bad play calling.
It's just it's consistent.
I understand why you've brought the subject up. I do not think they want another season of reboot. I think they want to go into the season with sex offender Deshaun Watson at quarterback, the top 5 running back that is Nick Chubb at running back, Amari Cooper at wideout, and Kevin Stefanski in place doing what he thinks is the right thing to do and seeing if they can get back to getting in the playoffs like they did the first time he was there.
Yeah.
The defense is great some weeks and not great in other weeks, but that can be adjusted. You can tone that one way or the other. But I just don't think they're going to want more change. They want stability to sit, because that otherwise you're bound to go back to how the Browns always were.
Yeah, I think I'd be shocked.
That's what I was laughing at. The Browns never want stability.
No, but they cannot afford to go back to this.
Well, it may depend on whether Deshaun Watson wants Stefanski.
That's a fair point.
I'm not sure he's got the ability to make those sorts of decisions now.
Well, I think, being as they gave him a fully guaranteed contract, he has all the ability to make that decision.
Maybe, but not for this coming season. This coming season is going to be ownership saying, right, this is the clean slate season.
They've given everything to get Deshaun Watson. If he says, I think this guy's a prick, he's I'm sorry, they're paying him like nearly $300 million guaranteed. They have put all of their eggs in the sex offender basket, right? So if he says, I don't want to be coached by this guy, he's gone, isn't he?
I know prisoners are sometimes used to make mail sacks and stuff, but I didn't realise they were allowing sex offenders to make baskets.
Yeah,
woven ones.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
Little's been said, but in his 11 weeks, Deshaun Watson has been weaving. Just
away from prosecutors.
At least it was not a web of lies like it was for the last 2 years. But and no one's crying because the Browns are shit, because they've made their choice.
I feel sorry for Myles Garrett because I think he is absolutely brilliant. He is one of the best defensive players we have seen
of his generation. He is one of the best
in the last 5 years.
Well, on both sides of the ball. I feel sorry for Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, really good players. Yeah. I feel sorry for Nick Chubb, who has 2 years basically been, over the last 2 years, possibly the best running back in the league, because no one's been as consistent as him. No one's been as injury-free as him.
Henry, maybe.
He didn't play last year, did he? So quite clearly that doesn't count.
Derrick Henry only got injured at the end of the season.
He missed half the season.
Nick Chubb was also injured last year and this year.
He doesn't miss half a season.
I would just argue that Derrick Henry would be in the running.
I'm not saying, but I'm saying if in the last 2 years Nick Chubb has been cruelly wasted on two losing teams.
Who would you take, Derrick Henry or Nick Chubb?
Nick Chubb.
Henry.
So, Nick Chubb right now.
Don't like it when me and Gary agree. Let's move on slightly to, you just mentioned Stefanski. Dennis Allen. Why is Dennis Allen not getting any flack? He's rubbish. He was rubbish before. He's rubbish now.
The Saints are rubbish.
I know, but Dennis Allen is rubbish.
They've got nothing.
I disagree with that. I think they've got a lot of talent on that team.
I don't.
They've got no quarterback.
Alvin Kamara, Taysom Hill,
Chris Olave, Jarvis Landry.
Jarvis Landry has been threatening to be a great player for 5 years and has never quite managed it. He has like 4 or 5 games where he looks like he should be, and then he just doesn't do it consistently.
I can't disagree with that.
In a season where we've said Michael Gallup has been, Michael Gallup's been really good for the Cowboys. Jarvis Landry for years. People have been going, Mike, I'm just picking names out of a hat.
Michael Gallup was injured for the first half of the season, and he came back and he's had a couple of good games. But like last week, I think he got about 3 yards.
Thought this was the game people would have find things to argue about.
But for years, Jarvis Landry has been a really decent wide receiver.
He's the best number 2 quite often. Yeah.
And this might be the first time we've mentioned him this year since the preview, because he's done nothing. Because
he's on injured reserve now.
This is also the bit of the podcast where I miss Paul, because when I mention the best number 2 and Paul's not here to laugh, I feel like something is missing out of my day.
Like Michael Thomas hasn't played, all this kind of stuff. I think there's nothing in the Saints that inspires me. The defense I thought was decent last year and was supposed to be really good, and that just hasn't turned up.
And that's Dennis Allen's side of the ball.
But it hasn't turned up, has it?
No, it hasn't. So it's a problem, and I think he's more likely to go than Stefanski.
Yeah, maybe.
I was going with that.
But I agree with you slightly. Why aren't both of them on the hot seat?
Get both rid of both of them.
Okay, we're moving on now to the Christmas Day games. One good, one bad, one ugly, which is like you three turning up at my house. Talk amongst yourselves about who's what. Let's start with the positive. Packers 26, Dolphins 20. Finns lead 20-13 at the half and had opportunities to close this one out, but a late Tua meltdown of 3 picks in 3 possessions handed the win to Green Bay. Also, Tua has concussion again, which cannot be a good thing. So Teddy Bridgewater will play this week.
That's potentially his third now this season.
I would say that's his third, yeah.
I mean, they're not saying that the first one was, but
it was.
with
Back
Dribble.
injury, my
In rugby, you'd be out for a number of weeks.
Yeah, they would sit you.
Yeah,
Well,
for like a month, at least a month. Yeah.
And that is the sort of... If a player gets 3 concussions, there should be a mandatory period of
Should be
time.
out for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll ever do that because there'll be too many players missing time.
It's too short a season.
It's too short.
And that is the problem. The Dolphins are throwing away the opportunity to walk into the playoffs by not winning. What did you say? They haven't won in December.
Yeah.
I'm sure they've lost 4 in a row.
Yeah, okay, that sounds about right. So 4 in a row, and yet nobody in the AFC East seems to want to finish second, and the second place is probably going to get in to the wild card.
They've got a 59% chance of making the playoffs. They're at New England and home to the Jets, the last game of the season.
I mean, yeah. This game can be literally split down.
Yeah.
When the Dolphins are 20-10 up, he lands on his head. Tua goes from 9-12 for 229 yards, 19.1 yards per attempt, to 7 for 13, 81 yards, 6.2 yards per attempt, and 3 interceptions.
So why was he not taken out of the game?
It's the second, so the third concussion. It's the second time they've kept him in.
It's crazy.
Someone on that sideline needs to. They've already fired the doctor.
The NFL, they need to look into it.
Someone from the Dolphins needs to be responsible now, and whether that's McDaniel or the offensive coordinator or somebody, it needs to be. I mean, they've already been punished for tampering this season, but I don't know if it's going to take something. No, remember, the Dolphins have already lost their first round pick because of trying to bring in Brady.
If you want teams to take the concussion stuff seriously, that is something else that they should be doing. They should be saying, right, we don't believe you've taken this seriously. There's multiple breaches this season. We've taken away your third round pick.
Yeah.
So the Dolphins lost 4 in a row. They got beaten quite heavily by the Niners. In the last 3 games, they've played some good teams in the last 4 games.
Yeah.
So they've played the Niners, the Chargers, the Bills, and the Packers.
Yeah.
And they've lost 3 of those games by a score.
Yeah.
So,
they've been fine.
Like, they haven't been awful,
not,
but they are not
throwing away their players.
The Dolphins-Bills game was one of the games of the season.
Yeah.
But yeah, this game, they should have won because...
But in November, if you'd have said the Dolphins were closing out the season with New England and the Jets, I'd have said they win both of those games.
Yeah,
I
but
don't think they win both of those games. I think they lose one.
One will be enough to get them in. But they're not going. They're going in with baggage.
Yeah, instead of going in strong,
they've lost to the Bills. They're losing to teams that they might come up against as well, which is not great.
I said earlier,
Chargers and Bills.
Mentioned earlier, Laquan Treadwell couldn't believe he was still in the league. Mercedes Lewis got another touchdown in this game. I am so pleased for Mercedes Lewis that he is still. Isn't he like the oldest surviving draft pick after like Andy Lee and Tom Brady?
Well, isn't he? He's been in the league 17 years, I think.
He's 38 years old.
I think Rodgers might have been the year before.
Right. Okay.
So 2006 he was drafted, and Rodgers was 2005.
Yeah.
So it was an 18 year pro into a 17 year pro.
Wow.
But yeah, literally it is Brady and basically no one else who actually is an important position.
Andy Lee's been around a punter for the Cardinals.
Yeah, but he's not an important position.
Well,
although he did throw the ball this week, didn't he?
He actually was the first person over 40 to make a completion this week with Andy Lee. I was coming to that, but thank you.
Apologies.
Quickly, before we move on, Tua and the concussions. There was talk earlier in the year, after his injuries last year and then early this year, that Tua has said he's not sure how long he can do this for. How much of a concern is that for the Dolphins?
Huge.
Because who gets to choose that? We know that Andrew Luck got to a certain point and went, I can't. I won't be able to move when I'm older. I can't. And I'm sure to this day he regrets some of retiring early, but a lot of it he will go, 10 years further down the line and think, actually, it was the right decision. What about Tua?
Given everything we know about head injuries within the NFL and the amount of players who have effectively died because of their head injuries and because of the issue of concussions, if you're Tua's family right now, aren't you saying to him, I think you need to think about this. This is your third concussion in 4 months.
Yeah. You literally need to think about it while you can.
Yeah, I think, exactly. I mean, we've seen it. I mean, I remember the 49ers linebacker, Chris Borland, played a year and it's like, nope, I'm out. I'm done.
Kuechly.
Yeah.
As well.
I reckon he'll wait for one big contract.
Yeah, and maybe he will, but...
Because he's not been... he's been paid, don't get me wrong, but not for NFL quarterbacks. He hasn't been paid, has he yet?
No, but...
He'll get 15 million a year, won't he?
But what's the point of having 45 million if you can't remember your name?
Well, I understand what you're saying, but I still think he'll wait for a big contract.
Yeah, Gary's thinking business decision. I don't know. I just think...
I'm with Gary.
There'll be an agent in his ear.
I think you're probably right. I'm just saying, I think this... if I was his dad, his brother, his uncle...
If he can
whatever,
get to 5 or 6 years in the league, he'll be £100 million a year more often. Well...
He's had 2 years now, and he's not played... 2 years? 3 years.
This is the third year.
And he's not played a full season because he's been injured.
But surely this is the year they would start talking about contracts.
No, it is after this year.
It is, and I don't think the Dolphins will be the team to give him that contract. No. And so then who's going to give him a massive contract?
I don't think it'll be massive. I don't think it'll be, he hasn't done enough to get Mahomes money, has he?
No, of course not.
But I still think he'll get 40, 35.
The way contracts are going, he'll get Dak money.
He'll get 35, 40, I reckon.
But...
Might not be a long one. Might not be 5 years. It might only be a 3-year one.
Yeah, I don't think with a short one. And it's not going to be guaranteed.
It's not. It's right if it's short and chunky.
Because he gets concussed rather than sexually offends. So that doesn't mean you get. But it's
Packers have now joined the Lions at 7 and 8. We know they play in the last week. We've mentioned it already. Anyone here think the Packers don't get into the playoffs? I am going to just...
You all went...
I'm saying the Lions win that last week.
Lions win the game.
You all went Lions last week.
I don't think the Lions do win that last week because it's in Green Bay and because we know what...
But don't you want to see Aaron Rodgers cry?
No, don't get me wrong. I want the Lions to win that last game. I just don't think
Put your faith in it, Jim. Put your faith in it.
Who have the Packers got this week?
Vikings.
They'll lose that. The Lions...
No, the Packers are in form.
In Green Bay, and Packers
aren't in form. They beat a bloke who was seeing 21 fucking other players on the pitch. He didn't know who he was throwing to.
There are 21 other players on the pitch.
They've won the last...
There's 11 players on his side, and there's 11 players on the other side, which means there's 22.
But he's one of them.
So that's why there's 21. I didn't think he was seeing himself twice.
I mean, that's a real problem for years.
But so 22 minus 1.
Yeah, it's 21.
So
that's how many there are.
I imagine he was seeing everyone twice.
You didn't say 42. You said 21.
21 extra players.
Oh, extra players. Sorry, I didn't hear you say that.
Jesus fucking Christ.
I'm going to listen to that back because I don't think you said that.
Right.
I've said it 3 times.
The Packers have won their last 3 games, but they've been against shit.
Yeah, they're playing bad teams.
I can't wait to listen back to this podcast.
It's an argument
and listen to the most ridiculous arguments we've ever fucking had. Yeah. And I've got to drive home with John yet.
You can tell everyone's cranky after Christmas is pretty much what it is. I don't think the Packers beat the Vikings this week.
Nope.
But I hope they do because that sets up the Lions game and I want the Lions to knock them out of contention.
It will be a typically Vikings game. They'll win by 3 points at the end.
Well, all the Vikings could rest players.
Okay.
Not against the Packers.
They're going to want that number 2 seed.
Let's move it on to the bad of this triumphant threesome. Raiders 10, Steelers 13. And before we descend into the game, a quick word about Franco Harris. This was supposed to be the Franco Harris tribute game.
Yeah.
He of the Immaculate Reception.
Yeah.
50 years ago.
Yeah, 50 years ago. Sadly died in the week leading up to the game. A bit of a shock for everybody. But it was nice to see all the Steelers players turned up with his shirt number on. And they went ahead and did the presentation and things as if he was there.
Commanders, if you're watching, this is how you do a tribute.
That's a very fair point.
And it was very touching. And the thing about it is, 50 years ago, the Steelers came from behind against this team, the Raiders, and won a game that they didn't have that much business winning. And then here they are again. They're behind, And somehow Kenny Pickett has his best game of the season and throws to, I think it was Pickens he actually threw to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Pickens,
And they win a game that nobody really looked like winning. It was another, in the Immaculate Reception game, it was like 10-10 or no, 6-all or something. And like, it was a slugfest. No one looked like winning. It was seconds from overtime. And this was the same thing. It was a complete slugfest.
Go back and watch some video of Franco Harris as a running back because he's
awesome.
thoroughly entertaining. He had just some of his stats: 13 seasons in the league, one with Seattle, the rest with Pittsburgh. 12,120 yards rushing, 91 touchdowns. He also had 2,287 yards and 9 receiving touchdowns. That combined ranked him as third highest marks at the time of his retirement. He was a star of a player. And an icon, and I think that Immaculate Reception is the most iconic.
That's the standout player.
In the last few years, we've lost. Is it Dwight Clark?
Yeah,
the catch,
Yeah.
the Immaculate Reception. Effectively, as soon as we lose David Tyree, that's the 3 biggest plays that the helmet catch, the Immaculate Reception are the.
It will only be butt fumble left, won't it?
Yeah,
Philly special.
It'll be the drive.
Philly special.
Yeah.
But
I see you.
In terms of big plays, that's what it is.
Cam not diving on the ball.
So Raiders 10,
bigger than the game.
Raiders 10, Steelers 13, and this is the game that has seen Derek Carr benched for next week, and he'll be replaced by Jared Stidham. So 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions is a pretty bad game by most people's standards. But is this really on Derek Carr?
Good Pittsburgh defense.
Yeah.
I don't.
I think 3 interceptions is on the quarterback, isn't it?
I don't know. Yes, I think so, but I don't know if he hadn't already checked out. I cannot believe anyone thinks replacing Derek Carr with Jared Stidham is the right way to go when they're about to play the 49ers
the
defense.
best defense in the league. Yeah,
but their season's done, isn't it? Really?
Yes.
What did you say? It was a
2%,
1 to 2% chance.
it's literally a 1% chance.
So you still calling them contenders?
Oh, no, sorry. It's actually gone down because of the bench. 0.6% chance.
Jared Stidham, don't forget, is only there because he's familiar with McDaniels because he was the backup for 3 years in the Patriots. And when he had his opportunity to play, he was rubbish. He was bad. So I don't think anybody's expecting a win there.
I look forward to, Carr has been fine in the first half and bad in the second. I'm looking forward to a full game of bad.
This is why I called it the bad.
I mean, at least he's not playing against that 49ers D, so he won't be crying like he does quite occasionally.
I think that's part of the reason why he's not playing is that they don't want him to get injured, so they then can trade him.
I agree. So this is what we were alluding to this earlier.
Now, isn't he?
John was saying about who's going to be a free agent. Derek Carr is going to be on a different team next season. Yeah. There will be 8 teams minimum in the hunt for Derek Carr because he is a good player. He's having a bad year on a bad team, but of the free agent quarterbacks,
Giants,
Giants, Jets, Patriots,
Texans.
Patriots would be mad not to be in the hunt.
Panthers.
Would he not improve the Dolphins over Tua?
Dolphins.
I don't know if the Panthers would go for him over Darnold at the moment.
I think they should.
I'm not sure they would, though.
I think he's an upgrade on a lot of teams' offenses. I really do. I think he's a really good player.
Titans.
I think he's tired.
I think the Giants are going to pay Daniel Jones.
So do I.
I don't think
It'd be
they will.
hilarious.
I honestly do, John.
Falcons, yeah.
He's not done enough.
Titans have got to decide what they're doing with Tannehill.
Yeah.
He improves that team. There's a lot of teams. So Derek Carr,
Broncos.
He improves the Broncos right now.
They can't afford him, but
No. But Derek Carr will be fine. Another guy who should be losing his job is McDaniels. I don't get it. He won't do. He's not going to lose his job. That is absolutely nailed on. They've said he's here.
How many coaches? Where are you getting all these coaches
No, I'm
from,
not.
bro?
And that's the thing. There isn't. I'm not saying there are better, but he's not good, is he?
Well, no, but
He's a great offensive
you're going
coordinator.
to take
a rubbish
another
head coach.
coordinator, aren't you?
Probably.
Or, because you're not going to get a load of people out of college, are you? They've not done amazingly.
They have not.
Someone needs to go get Jim Harbaugh back because it's ridiculous he's not coaching in the NFL.
I don't think he's that bothered. He gets paid a fortune.
That's what I mean. Yeah, but someone needs to try and get him back.
Someone needs to give Eric Bieniemy a chance.
Yeah.
Right. The Steelers, are they set for next season? Is this a winning franchise next season?
Still question marks at quarterback.
I think you got to see. We spoke about it earlier with Zach Wilson. Didn't make that progression. you need to see if Kenny Pickett is going to make that progression.
Do you not think he's already moving faster than Zach Wilson?
Yeah, I know, 100% do.
Right.
He's not being terrible.
So what you're saying is Wilson shouldn't be the line we're
I'm not convinced by all this, I have to admit. Like, the Steelers they look better with Trubisky for half the season.
I agree with Gary. This is where I was going with this.
You're doing that a lot today.
It's painful. It really is.
Honestly, I don't know. He's an older quarterback coming out of college as well, but I don't think he's done much. Yeah, he won this game.
Against a terrible Raiders
team. He scored 13 points. He is not lighting anything up at all season. I've not seen any game where I go, wow. Not even like a glimpse.
I don't think this game he had some good throws.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be that quarterback that makes you go, wow. And again, he's going to fall.
He's going
to fall firmly in that. He'll get the job done.
So the Steelers' defense might get them close to a winning record next year. But that's a tough division.
I'm just asking the question.
I'm going to say no. Like, they might get a winning record, but they're not going to win anything. Like,
I just asked if they were going to get a winning record. That's all I was interested in.
I wouldn't say they're set at all.
And that is an answer to the question. So
I think they're looking closer to the team that finished the year before with, admittedly,
8-1 or whatever.
A thumb. No. The Roethlisberger year.
The Roethlisberger year.
Because I mean, if I know Steelers fans were saying we want Rudolph, which is, that's fucking stupid.
Yeah, it is Christmas.
Who cares?
It's not Christmas anymore.
Not anymore.
As well, Rudolph was rejected. Let's remember. Yeah, that's part of the story. He didn't want to play in any reindeer games.
He was comeback reindeer of the year.
Comeback reindeer of the year. Paint his helmet bright red.
Maybe he's got a sort of an alcoholic red nose like Alec Ferguson. I don't know.
Can't paint his helmet bright red. But Garrett's got it.
But no, I think the Steelers are getting better each week on defense, and that's what counts for them. Yeah. If they can move the ball better, I just don't. Obviously, the defensive line isn't as bad as we all thought it was going to be.
Defensive line does need to get better.
It just needs to get better.
Terrible in the running game.
But yeah, like Najee Harris was a bit better this week. He's been better, but not.
I think they've got more trouble at running back than they do at quarterback.
No, I wouldn't say running back. I'd say running game.
Running game, sorry. Yeah, running game. I'll take that. I
think they got the right running back. He's proved he can do it. They need to get better on the offensive line for that purpose.
Yeah.
All right, and now the ugly from Christmas Day: Rams 51, Broncos 14, and Nathaniel Hackett is now jobless as fuck. Happy Christmas. This felt inevitable. Baker Mayfield and Cam Akers have come on strong in recent weeks and probably both secured their futures in the league, because Baker certainly wasn't certain to be anywhere next year, and Akers, don't forget, he wanted out of there early in the year as well. Like,
Akers is something brilliant. Baker Mayfield has sealed the backup job in LA, I think.
Yeah, it's all about... Matt Stafford has said this week he is coming back next year, but how fit he's going to be, I don't know. But Russell Wilson, however, has sealed nothing. 3 picks, including one on the opening drive, killed the Broncos' day early and has forced the ownership group into a decision where they've stuck with their expensive quarterback and kicked out their rubbish head coach. John there, letting his porn play through the podcast. Well done, John.
They just hate it when they put adverts before.
The NFL ad website is shit, guys.
I know you're not listening. Volume off.
I know.
Keep the volume off, John.
But every other website,
every
other website manages to not do that.
There was a thing here. Brett Rippon came in and actually outplayed Russell Wilson, which he has done in several games this season. And this is after he'd fallen out with the O-line. Brett Rippon on the sideline went to the O-line bench and said, "You guys have got to do a better job protecting Russ." And whoever it was, the biggest of the O-line, basically slapped him away and said, "Who are you? You're just a backup anyway." And Russell Wilson had to go and calm the O-line down. And then they had to protect Brett Rippon, and he wasn't sacked. Russ was sacked like 4 or 5 times in this game. 6 times. Rippon wasn't sacked, and he's having a better season. It's ridiculous.
The only notable thing about this game was that it was the Nickelodeon slime game. And
was it? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Patrick from SpongeBob SquarePants commentated on...
He slagged off Russell Wilson's interception.
He's having to describe what it...
I need to see that.
And it's interception.
Yeah, that's not what Russ wanted to cook.
Yeah. He did. He got slagged off by Patrick from SpongeBob.
Why didn't I get told about this?
We'll find it for you afterwards. It's fine.
Man. It was great.
Basically, Russell Wilson's done. Nathaniel Hackett came out and said in what the fuck am I supposed to do with a quarterback who's got more toilets in his house than touchdowns this season? Like, he's been awful, And
I think
players do this. I think the Seahawks were not convinced he was ever going to come back the same. Either too much going on in his personal life, didn't come back from the injury, I'm not sure. But they made the decision to move on quite happily from Russell Wilson. And there was a reason for that. They're an experienced franchise. And
I think that's a fair point. I think
I
think the Broncos next me and Griff were chatting about this before. They've got, three options. One is you bring in a head coach who wants to coach Russell Wilson. And I don't know who that is. But it's got to be I think it has to be someone who Russell Wilson can actually respect.
You need Peyton.
Yeah,
that's
it
what
has to be Sean Payton. Is the only person I can think of. The other option is you go to Russell Wilson and you say, who do you want a head coach? And the third option is you get rid of Russell Wilson. Yeah, which is going to cost them $17 million
because Hackett wanted Rodgers, didn't he?
Yeah. They brought in Hackett because they thought they could get Rodgers,
and then they went and got Wilson,
and they got Wilson,
and it's not the same.
No. Well, I don't think Hackett and Wilson ever really got on.
No,
I don't know how much of that is Hackett's fault.
Don't forget, they only brought in Hackett because they thought they were going to get Aaron Rodgers.
Do you know what? I wouldn't get on very well with my highest paid member of staff if they were constantly shit. like me and them might fall out because they're not delivering.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I'm just saying, from the start, it doesn't seem like they've ever got on.
Because he was shit the whole time.
He wasn't shit before the season.
Before game started.
And I think Hackett...
Maybe he was in training.
As well, Hackett is...
Maybe.
He just couldn't hack it. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I'm saying he's not the most conventional of men. Like,
he was.
It's not like he's a football... he used to be teach rapping. He made his name, being a coordinator for shitty Bortles, where basically the game plan was, I'm not going to use you. Like,
probably should have stuck with that.
And that's but of course he couldn't, because within 4 weeks he'd lost Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon couldn't hold a football anymore. Like, it's just been, and I think partly it's also on Russell Wilson. He's not an easy bloke to get on with.
No.
Like, if you talk to hear Sherman on about it, and a
lot of that Seattle's defense have come out and didn't like him.
And
I think that's also started to happen with the Broncos as well.
Yeah.
There are players coming out who have been quite vocal. I also think the fight on the sideline is another demonstration of
it looks absolutely toxic.
It looks like
Hackett's got no control.
No.
Yeah.
So who's on my... Is anyone joining my Russell Wilson is done?
I don't think he's done. I think he's had a shit year, but I think he's still a talented quarterback.
He's had 2 shit years in a row.
Well, 1.5.
1.5. He was good before the injury.
Yeah.
He came back.
Came back bad.
Start of last season, everyone was moaning about the fact that he'd never got any MVP votes because he was playing that well. Then he got injured. He was terrible. And he has been terrible this season. I do agree there.
I made 40 quid on him being MVP last year because I cashed out at week 8.
Clever.
And, fucking... But yeah,
I have a question regarding the Broncos O-line, because the O-line is supposed to be pretty good.
It was better,
right? So
didn't they lose
one of their tackles?
Big tackles.
So just regarding this, because one of Russell's biggest gripes in Seattle was he was always getting sacked, but he has been sacked the second most times in his career this season, and he's missed 1 or 2 games, and he's still got 2 games to go.
I don't think he runs around. He doesn't run around.
He doesn't move like he used to move, and he holds on to the ball forever, which is what the O-line are saying.
Yeah. He doesn't have Tyler Lockett anymore.
No?
Who's he passing to?
I know you. I know you don't think they're very
Cortland
good.
Sutton,
Jerry
Judy,
and Cortland Sutton are good wide receivers.
Jerry Judy, with Brett Rippon a couple of weeks ago, had a really good
Russell
game.
Wilson is not proving that.
No, I agree with that.
I think you have to have a different mindset, because you look at Doug Baldwin, when he used to play with Doug Baldwin knew he used to hold on to the ball a lot, and he'd have to make that first move, and then he'd have to make a second move, and he played wide receiver differently to other wide receivers. Tyler Lockett's the same. He makes that first move, he can make another move. Plays break down because that's what Russ does. He holds onto the ball, and those plays reacted. These guys just aren't doing it. There doesn't seem to be any connection. And that is probably going to be they think that they're going to have to spend all off-season getting to know each other, and that's going to be hard because Russell Wilson is a really hard bloke to get hold of and get to know because you can't talk to Russell Wilson. You can't just phone him up and go, "Hey, Russ, how's it going?" Yeah, no. You have to call his management. Yeah. His management then forwards you to Russell Wilson. You can't just text him.
He's in the Aaron Rodgers league of teamwork.
Yeah.
Like
the only difference is
so you're not quite on the train yet.
Not quite.
I'm not quite on the train.
I'm on the platform.
You're on the platform.
Yeah.
John's buying a ticket.
I'm certainly. I've got my bags packed. I'm ready to join. I think next season will tell you a lot because regardless of who the coach is, you've got to see Russell Wilson being good Russ in the first 6 games.
I don't think he's dynamic anymore.
I think you're probably right.
And he needed to be dynamic to be a great. He will have to be successful. He will have to be a different quarterback.
I'm sorry, but ESPN a couple of weeks ago did a thing about picking the weakness of every wide receiver, and actually they looked at Russell Wilson, and the biggest weakness is he just gets sacked too many times. His deep ball is one of the best in the league still. His stats for going long, really, really good. What the thing is, he's been pretty useless in the red zone because he doesn't have a running game. He doesn't, like Melvin Gordon, as I say, has been shit. Javonte Williams has been injured. They don't have maybe a big body receiver for him to, like, he doesn't have a Jimmy Graham anymore there. They need to change the team to suit Russ because at the moment they've got a team of pretty good players with no connection to him. Cohesion. That's it.
Right, moving on, because I can't hear any more about Russell Wilson. Monday the 26th gave us a game. Bucks 19, Cards 16 in overtime. All I want to know is, how can Cliff Clinkenutz keep his job? Anyone, because you've already said too many coaches here are losing their jobs. Cliff Clinkenut's got to go. He's fucking terrible. I mean, I know they're playing with whichever backup, Trace McSorley, but the Bucks are rubbish. And this game should have been there for the taking, and the Cardinals can't do it. They are, fourth overall in the draft now? They've got 4 wins on the season.
Fourth.
Come on now. And do you know what? They've just given us the news that JJ Watt is retiring at the end of the year. This team is suddenly getting worse because he's having, I think it's his 3rd statistically best season. Like, he's been really good, and no one said anything. And they're about to get terrible, and it blows my mind that he is not being touted as losing his job. I don't get it.
Only he needs to go. Once again, we are going to fire half the league, it seems, by the end of this thing.
No, but I think
there's so many players.
I think there's probably between 6 to 7 teams. Like, we've been seeing it a lot over the last few years, where you get to 8 teams. They've got no.
I think it could be 8 this year. Yeah.
I was just counting. I think it's 7.
When's Black Monday this year?
It's the Monday after the last game. Yeah, so a week
2 weeks
on Monday,
to go. Yeah.
Although nowadays, then you normally find out on Sunday. But anyway, yeah, I agree with you. I think Clinkenutz has done a shocking job this year. Like, there's some talent on that team. Whatever your thoughts of Kyler Murray are, I think we can agree that he does have some talent.
Talented. James Conner is talented.
DeAndre Hopkins, Marquise Brown. Yeah.
Greg Dortch has been brilliant.
Dortch has been brilliant the last couple of years. There's some pieces on the defense as well, but I still don't think that defense ever.
But Baker's not finishing the season as well, so that doesn't help.
Out. But I mean, their season's over, so why get even more injured? There's nothing to fight for anymore. But yeah, I mean, I flicked on the highlights for this on YouTube, and it was like, I think the highlights package was 18 minutes long. I was like, this must be a high-scoring, good game.
No,
this is just a shit game. And
adverts.
It's one of those games that it should be banned from going to overtime. I should have just called it a draw at the end of the 4th and gone, we don't want any more of this. Because it's just...
Even Brady wasn't great in this game. 32 of 48, that's fine. 281 yards, okay.
He just...
Touchdown, 2 interceptions, one of which was on him, I think.
Yeah.
I think he just looks fed up.
I think the thing is that, they've got a lot of injuries on that offensive line. He's just having to get the ball out so quickly. As quick as he ever has. He's still got that talent to do that. I think any lesser quarterback would be getting absolutely destroyed.
While you're talking about Brady, the rumours have swelled this week that
he's gone.
He's going to New England again. I'm not even joking.
I told you this.
As offensive coordinator.
No, apparently they're going to try and lure him back for 2 years with Bill. Please don't do that. Please don't do that.
There was a lot of rumours in the last 2 or 3 weeks that he's going back to the Patriots.
Well, hang on. What happens if Derek Carr does go and Brady just go and Brady's mate McDaniels is the coach there? Because he almost went to Vegas before going to the Bucs.
Now, I think that makes more sense.
Yeah.
And that's maybe what we should do. And we'll have Derek Carr. I'd love that. But I'm just saying, Gary said it weeks ago. Well, I've started seeing it, and it's swirling. He wants out of Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
I think he'll go back to the Patriots. He should fucking retire.
Yeah.
Yes, he absolutely
He should be in a warm Fox studio, being slightly,
Smug.
smarmy and smug, but kind of entertaining. Like,
I don't know, his voice is very whiny.
The Bucs are 7-8. They are leading the division. It's a terrible division, but they win and they're in, basically.
Yeah, tallest dwarf,
Yeah,
isn't it?
tallest dwarf, yeah. but
say that.
I didn't say that. When your lead receiver is Leonard Fournette with 90 yards, you've got a problem as a team. Because Leonard Fournette these days shouldn't be leading anything.
I've got a problem in fantasy football with that.
Yeah, this is not ideal. Brady has never had 8 losses in a season. Like, it's all wrong. It doesn't add up at all. Todd Bowles will get another year. But again, that's a team that got rid of their head coach, who was excellent, because their quarterback said, "No, I don't like this." And it hasn't worked out. Teams have got to start planning from the top down, not bring in the players and then say, right, who do you want? Yeah. It very rarely works. It very rarely works. Peyton Manning was about one of the few that you can name where you knew he was being consulted on who they wanted because he was coaching the team on the field.
Yeah.
So that's great if you can do that. That's fantastic.
Brady changes plays on the field, doesn't he?
Yeah, which Arians didn't like.
Not just like changing a little bit.
No,
completely
the whole thing.
Yeah, just totally changes
which is what he fell out with Arians about. But Todd Bowles was never going to be. He's another brilliant defensive coordinator. They should have made Leftwich. Yeah, and I don't know why they didn't. But
it's because Brady wanted Bowles. He still wanted Leftwich as his offensive coordinator.
Yeah, but
it's
all about some
Brady. Very fragile, egoed men. We're keeping coming back to it, but
it's true.
Well done, guys.
Right, moving on then to
losers.
our last game, Tuesday the 27th, the end of Christmas. Chargers 20, Colts 3. Fuck me, Nick Foles is rubbish. Matt Ryan has been benched again without being the problem. The team is terrible. The O-line is terrible. You've now replaced him with Sam Erlinger and Nick Foles, and they both have combined for fuck all. And because you're not looking at the right problem. The O-line is awful. The coaching isn't good. The wide receivers are not good. The running game isn't good.
But the Chargers are in the playoffs for the first time in like 3
forever.
years.
Yeah, it feels like forever.
They
cemented their place with this, did they?
Yes. They did.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, since
we get to see Justin Herbert in the playoffs.
Good.
I mean, great, but
John, you've been trying to suck Justin Herbert's dick all fucking 2 years.
Oh my God, we've gone to dick sucking now, have we? Excellent stuff.
I mean, I'm just saying, like,
you would literally ram his dick down your throat.
Oh my God, don't repeat it. A minute ago, he said you couldn't say tallest dwarf. Yeah. Now he's just accused you of sucking off a really good quarterback.
I'm sorry, but
this podcast has descended
Have
into
you
madness.
sucked off a really good quarterback?
But I like Justin Herbert. I think it's quite great.
Not the right thing to say.
I don't think...
But you wouldn't rule it out.
I'm just saying. If he was playing on the Giants.
I think we should just
But
look
last
at the
week I had to
positives.
listen to this guy for going on for a few minutes about how good James Cook is. And it's like, what? At least Justin Herbert's like a fucking incredible quarterback. Like, just not a bloke on my fantasy team. It's he's brilliant.
He scored a touchdown this week, by the way, James Cook.
Well, great. I'm sure you
Ran
can.
for 90.
I'm sure the reach around you gave him to celebrate that was worth it, and you had a lovely time. But
do you know what the irony is?
Chargers,
this is Justin Herbert's worst game of the season.
Yeah, as I say, this is the year I've been most disappointed with Justin Herbert because I think he's being coached really poorly.
I agree. Brandon Staley is again, they're in the playoffs. He'll keep his job, but
this could be one of those rare occasions that they could still get rid of him. Because I don't think he's been good enough.
Now, you said there were 7 teams. This is my 8th team.
Yeah,
because Brandon Staley, I don't get it. They're underutilising Justin Herbert.
Yeah, 100%.
If they could get Peyton, then
But surely, if you were Peyton, you're looking at this and thinking, yeah, they've got Eckler, brilliant. They've got Herbert, brilliant. They've got Keenan Allen, brilliant.
Mike Williams.
Mike Williams.
yeah,
the defense
this is
good.
this is where Peyton should be going.
I agree.
Yeah.
But whether they're going to take the shot and do that, but yeah, I think like Staley's really like he's into his really deep into statistical analysis, and I think he's got so far that he's actually just ruining the.
And
bizarrely, this is the year they get to the playoffs, but they'll just get to the first week and lose.
I think if they were playing any other team, literally any other team, and I put the Texans into this as well, they would have lost that game.
Yeah, really would.
Like, because I mean, the Colts are just a dumpster fire of a franchise.
Yeah.
At the moment.
How the fuck did they beat the Chiefs?
Well, also, how the fuck have they done
Any
that
given Sunday,
so
John?
quickly?
Yeah.
So quickly. Because, like, I know we're not fans of Carson Wentz, but when Carson Wentz did go there, we were like, all right, that's a good team with an all right quarterback.
Yeah.
They should be doing well.
Talented
that's
team,
only
okay,
at the beginning of
quarterback.
last season.
Yeah. They have fallen apart. It's badly run, badly managed. The GM has probably reached the end of his usefulness with this team.
That's another open job, remember?
Yeah.
I mean, presuming Jeff Saturday's not going to get the gig.
He won't. Of course he won't. That would be
I
crazy.
mean, he shouldn't.
But it's the wanting to bench Matt Ryan has been coming from the top. That's been coming from Irsay, who's been saying try anything else. But he's just looking at the star on the team and saying, "Oh, that's not working." Of course, it's not working. Matt Ryan's a statue, but he's your best statue out of the three players you've got. You don't take him out and assume you're going to be better with Nick Foles.
This is how bad it is. Like, I'll go back to that ESPN article. And they compared it to last year. Do you know who was really good when plays broke down? Last year, it was Matt Ryan for the Falcons. This year, the protection for him is so bad that you can't even get that. Like, they've got no receivers worth noting. I don't care. Like, we've mentioned Paris Campbell could be good. No, he's not.
We spent too long saying Paris Campbell could be good. Michael Pittman could be a number one receiver.
He could, but no. That's fourth year to saying that.
Paul's favourite, Jelani Woods, was the top receiver this week. 3 catches for 43 yards.
Yeah, I mean, Jonathan Taylor he was injured, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's
but
on injured reserve. Now he's out.
It's just there's
They've
fucking
just
nothing.
parked him. They've just parked him.
Of course, you
next
would.
year.
Okay.
Absolutely.
No,
Okay. I'm ending this because this is just a terrible...
Of course, they're playing the Giants this week. They'll win.
It's the angriest podcast we've ever done.
Brilliant.
Nominations for your Sweetest Player of the Week brought to you by tootsweets.shop.
Oh, I really like that New England touchdown.
What, the defensive one?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're just...
Well, Marcus Jones, should be said, has a punt return,
a receiving
touchdown and a defensive touchdown.
Deion Sanders is the only other player.
Marcus
to have,
Jones...
Of 40 yards as well.
Oh, 40 yards. Which, Marcus Jones is in his rookie year.
Yeah,
like, he's having a great season. A lot of what is... like.
So you're going for a combined play. I'm okay with it.
I want to throw in that Ray McLeod touchdoon, 70-yard touchdown.
Well, you've thrown in 2 now, and now we don't know what to do. So you pick one, and we'll just agree with you. That's fine.
You guys pick one. I'm giving you the options.
I'm going to go with Marcus Jones because I think that's an outstanding achievement, and it was a great piece of defensive play.
I like the Ray McLeod one. I'm not going to lie. That may be.
In which case, the tiebreaker goes to Ray McLeod because they won. Surely that's the easiest way to settle that.
Yeah,
it was a brilliant play.
It was a brilliant play.
And we can't have Patriots get it for 2 weeks now.
No, that seems fair. Ray McLeod, well done. You are the TootSweets.shop Sweetest Player of the Week. Right, it's pin your colours to the mast time. I am going to run quickly through who's in and who's looking to get in the AFC and then the NFC. And we are picking the playoff teams. We will be held accountable when we get them wrong. So, in the AFC, already in, Bills, Bengals, Ravens, Chiefs and Chargers. 5 teams. You are looking for 2 teams, one of which has to come from the AFC South. Someone will win the AFC South.
Jags.
I'm also taking the Jags. Gary?
I am now taking the Jags. Last week I took the Titans, but I'm taking the Jags.
Also on that, Derek Henry's now listed as doubtful for the
That
game.
Yeah.
They've literally got nothing on offense.
That then leaves us with one spot to fill between the Dolphins, the Patriots, the Jets, the Titans,
Steelers.
and the Steelers.
And the Raiders.
And technically the Raiders, but no.
Dolphins for me.
Yeah, I was going to go with Dolphins as well.
Wow. I'm not too sure.
I know Tua's out, but they've only got to win one game.
Yeah.
So that's my reasoning.
Who have they got this week?
They've got Patriots and Jets, haven't they? They've only got to win one of those games.
Everything in me wants to take the Titans just because I think Derrick Henry could steamroller them to a win. But I think I'm going to agree with you guys and say the Dolphins have to secure that final place. They've only got to win one of two.
Yeah.
And they're in. So I'll take the Dolphins as well.
Steelers.
Fuck off.
Steelers. They can win two. They can win 2 games.
They need everyone else to lose.
I don't care.
Is that actually possible though?
Yes,
because if
it
the
is.
Jets and the Patriots beat the Dolphins, one of them will be ahead of the Steelers.
Ooh. Oh, but what if it's all ties?
So I'm not sure.
I don't know how. But
So going back
Why
to
not?
going back to 538.com.
plus I'd love the fact that week 10 we said, AFC East is like one of the best divisions in football, and then one team gets into the playoffs.
So the chances of those two teams getting into playoffs, according to 538, Dolphins 59% chance of getting into playoffs, Steelers 3%.
I mean,
taking a long shot.
I'm getting on Paddy Power, boys.
quickly before we move to the NFC, Paul was very hot on the Jets pre-season.
Yeah.
Do the Jets finish 2nd, 3rd, or 4th in the AFC East? They're currently 4th.
Third.
Anyone else?
I think they're going to leapfrog the Patriots.
I think they lose to the. I think they won't win enough games to get in, and I think the Patriots may well pull off a win in one of the last 2 games just because they might. So I think the Jets will finish behind the Patriots just on tiebreakers.
So do I. Just.
Yep. They'll both be probably 8 and 9.
Oh, Paul's going to be so good.
And it'll be so funny.
So much poorer.
Yeah. So funny. John?
I think the Pats finish ahead of the Jets just because there's too much gone wrong at the wrong position for the Jets.
Okay, moving into the NFC then. Currently in Eagles, Cowboys, Vikings, and 49ers. You've got 3 teams to pick.
One, we've got the NFC South.
Yeah, so the NFC South, you have to pick a champion. It's currently between Buccaneers, Panthers, and Saints. Anyone not taking the Buccaneers?
Me.
You're taking the Panthers, are you, John?
Taking the Panthers.
I'm going to take the Buccaneers.
I'm going to also take the Buccaneers.
I would like it to be the Panthers, but I'm going to take the Buccaneers.
Okay, so that
Pick
leaves
with your
us,
heart, Gary.
that leaves us with 2 wild card spots. Giants, Commanders, Lions, Packers, Panthers, Saints, Seahawks.
I'm going Giants and Packers.
Giants, Lions.
Giants, Packers.
Giants, Lions. I'm going to be with John. I'm going to say Giants, Lions.
Do you want the
Yeah, of course.
Paul has not texted us, but he's picking the
Giants and
the Commanders and the Saints.
The Commanders really do still have a chance because of that draw.
All right, so
And he would have picked the Jets.
Here's the projections. Giants 91% chance.
Yeah, the Giants are basically in, I think.
Packers 27, Lions 24, Commanders 29%
Yeah,
chance.
like it's because of that draw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all still to play for.
But yeah.
It's going to be tight.
If the Commanders win one game, it'll be very difficult for someone to overtake them.
But they are going to be starting Carson Wentz.
Well, should we have a look at this? Just look at Week 17 games.
Yeah. The Week 17 games. Oh, sorry, yeah. Sorry, yeah, this week. Oh, Jesus, extra games. Go on. Week 17.
Yeah, like starting being Thursday night, Cowboys, Titans, which a few weeks ago you'd have thought, oh, that's actually a decent Thursday night game. But
No, it's not, no.
Panthers, Bucks.
Panthers, Bucks is
It's a
the
huge game.
Dolphins, Pats. I mean,
It's going to be a massacre in Vegas. 49ers, Raiders.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that could be a 30-point game for the Niners.
Not sure we should talk about shootings in Vegas.
Fair. Another.
oh, no, let's just talk about sucking cock.
Right, so another big beating. Chiefs, Broncos.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, they might get a bounce, like a Jeff Saturday style thing from not having...
Who have they announced as their interim head coach? Anyone?
Oh, it's the guy they brought in to help with the timekeeping. I can't remember his name. Jerry somebody.
Oh, the old guy.
Yeah, that's right.
Fantastic. Okay, they're going to get massacred then. Yeah.
But yeah, Vikings Packers is going to be a fun game.
Again, that's another big game, isn't it?
But yeah, and Monday night game, Bills Bengals.
Oh, that's a cracker.
Tasty.
Yeah,
Very, very tasty.
Yeah, but yeah, that's
Just in time for me to go back to work on the Tuesday. Excellent stuff.
nice time.
Right, well, that brings us to the end of the festive podcast.
The angry podcast.
Angry festive podcast where everyone has just had enough of other people in their lives and they just need to go back and calm down. So let's do that and reflect and wait till next week. Thank you very much for listening. Good night.
Bye.